Holmes County, Mississippi is considered one of the most impoverished counties in the state. I was on the ground last year with Reverend Dr. William Barber, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a movement dedicated to seeking justice for the poor. He's not afraid to use his bully pulpit to affect political change. I spoke with the Reverend again earlier tonight to discuss how the pandemic has affected the poorest of the poor. Reverend Barber, thank you so much for joining us. I see you with your mask on. That tells me how seriously you take this pandemic. Reverend, so based on the community that you serve, your perspective, are the states reopening too soon?
Well, they're opening too soon at the expense of poor and low-income working people and at the expense of the American public. This false choice that you have to either open up or go to work and possibly die is a choice. It didn't have to be this way. The issue is to open up properly. And properly means we would made sure that people have health care, made sure that we have testing, made sure that we did the tracking, made sure that we have the PPEs that are necessary, made sure that people had the kind of protections for rent forgiveness and to maintain their waters. But we've not done any of that. And as one low-wage worker said, it feels like we're being led to what is called policy mass murder because we're being forced to go into work for our livelihoods when we should not have to do that.
We're in a situation right now where for people who live hand to mouth, who live paycheck to paycheck, there is a stark choice between, do I go back to work right now to feed my family or do I wait this out? So how do you accomplish both those things?
I think we have to stand up and fight, and that's what people are saying now. They're saying what we're going to do is we may have to go to work to live, but we're also going to organize. We demand an agenda that cares for poor and low working people, the people who make this country run, because if our people are going to have to die, we're not going to die quietly, but we're going to raise our voices. If we are in the process of breathing our last breaths, we're going to use those breaths to fight for a better democracy and to breathe some love and some justice into this American experiment.
Reverend, those demands have been on the table long before either one of us was born. There's traditionally been an issue of health care accessibility in rural areas with high poverty. Why is that?
Well, I live in a rural area, and part of the problem is for too long we've had too many people in power, too comfortable with other people's desperation and other people's deaths. We have not provided what is necessary for working class people, for poor and low income, low wage workers. We call them essential workers as a title, but many of them feel more like expendable, like Claire Kincaid, who died in a meat packer in Mississippi.
How does America come out of this crisis better, you think? What will we learn from this that will be improved upon, you think?
Well, I'm a hopeful person, I would say, more than optimistic, because I know too much about the real evils of society. I look at history, I know that even that many times in the darkest moments, in the toughest moments, people have come together and people have risen up. My faith actually begins in the graveyard. My faith begins with crucifixion. And it says that there's always a resurrection. Now, it's not easy. People are dying, people are hurting, but over this country, I'm seeing all over that people are also standing up. And I would say to America, I would say very clearly to America, that if America can't get it right in a pandemic that's threatening all of our mortality, if we can't get it right in the midst of a pandemic that has shown us that one little germ can shut down the whole country and shut down the world, if we can't get it right and build this economy from the bottom up and care for people from the bottom up, then shame on us. And like Fannie Lou Hamer, I question America. I question our leadership. If we can't get it right now, when are we going to get it right? In fact, we better get it right because all of our lives literally depend on it.
I think we just heard a sermon. Reverend Dr. William Barber, thanks again for joining us.
Bless you, my friend.